Great, thank you so much. I'm glad President Sandoval mentioned that this was part of District 9 when a lot of the early work was created, Loma Lincoln Park, also District 9. So big kudos also to Councilwoman Montero for leading on that work. Tina Griego back in 2016 wrote a really powerful series about Sun Valley, and I'll share the links to my colleagues in case you haven't seen these, but it really painted just an incredible portrait of like the soul of Sun Valley, and also these like seemingly insurmountable challenges that neighborhood faced in built form and street grid and all of the things that I think are being, and it's so interesting to go back and see that language and see what's being built here. And yes, community had to be uprooted in order for this project to happen. What we do hope is that them being welcomed back allows them to reestablish those connections, create new ones. Community being built is a long process, and I'm grateful that you're constantly making space, like physically and philosophically, for residents to do that. That's the most important thing, I think, for people to feel like they belong somewhere. So thank you for that work. That's such a huge part of all of this. The elephant in the room is the school, and how much of the return, 32% of families returning, how much of that do you think was affected by those families knowing they don't have a school to send their kids to if they returned?
Yeah, it's a chicken and egg thing. We are promoting, I think, a really incredible, healthy, wholly focused neighborhood, and yet we are hearing that families are like, but there's not a school there now. A school that we built the master plan centered upon for families to easily access, families where, if you saw some of the data that we put up, 75% of families didn't have cars. And so older children walking younger children to school. We're currently in a situation where children are bused to school alternative across Federal and across Colfax, but 4-year-olds cannot ride the bus. So we're most recently very concerned about early childhood education access. We're working with our families to determine what is the rate that families are getting children to early education without access to bus or cars. And we're working with DPS to understand, if we could reuse that site, even the building, to start an EC room in cooperation with other programs in the area. We have kids at Mercy Housing as well as another child health care center, working with those providers who are at capacity to look at those needs to capture and really provide that whole picture. But yes, it is a factor in lease-up. We're hearing the families are very concerned about the lack of safe, immediate access to a school.